It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking MATForce, and my guest over the phone today is Merilee Fowler, Executive Director of MATForce. Merilee, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
MATForce does a whole lot of incredible programs. One of them that I wanted to start off with at the top is a collaborative effort between you guys and a few other organizations called Yavapai Strong Together. Can we talk a little bit about that program?
That would be wonderful. Yeah, and I want to, again, give a hats off to the Yavapai Justice and Mental Health Coalition and the Verde Valley Mental Health Coalition that are collaborating on Yavapai Stronger Together. And we learned through the medical examiner's office that we recently had some suicides that were directly related to the COVID-19 crisis. And as a community, we wanted to come together and make sure that people realize that there's people there to help them if they're struggling with mental health issues or just the stress related with COVID-19. And so the concept of Yavapai Stronger Together was launched. And again, we're trying to work really hard to make sure that people realize that there are people there to help them if they're struggling. I
had no idea that there were any related deaths to suicide regarding the COVID-19 crisis. It has definitely been a very heavy toll for a lot of people here, but this is great. It definitely, if you are experiencing something like that, please reach out to the suicide hotline or even MATForce or really anybody if you do need help, like Merilee just said. This is a great collaborative effort for you guys. This is something really interesting.
You know, and I just am so proud of Yavapai County it seems like whenever there's a problem, we're so willing to work together and to, take off our own hats and just, work together to solve the problem. And that's exactly what Yavapai Stronger Together is.
So speaking more of a collaborative effort, of course, we are starting to alleviate some of the restrictions of COVID-19, but we are still seeing a few still in place. Maybe more speaking in past terms, how has the organization, I mean MATForce, adapted to the COVID-19 restrictions?
It's been interesting for us because as an organization of people that collaborate together, what we normally are doing is we're together in a room talking about problems and, more importantly, implementing solutions. But, we work in the schools. We do substance abuse education in the schools. So, of course, that was canceled. But one of the things that we did is our in-person presentations were canceled. But we put together a resource guide that we sent out to all the schools of different substance abuse education online tools and also things that teachers could include in packets for the younger kids. So we want to be, as much of a resource as we can be to the schools as they're trying to continue education with COVID-19. And we do a lot of other things that are in person. We do professional trainings like Safe Talk training, which is a suicide prevention training, mental health first aid. We had to cancel all of those. We had to cancel our parenting classes, but we've adapted and we're offering several different webinars so that people can still learn the information and have the support through webinars and be safe during COVID-19.
And we have seen a lot of that through a few organizations moving towards the webinars and moving more towards, Zoom meetings to get all their information out. You guys recently hosted a teaching post-quarantine webinar, still sticking kind of with the school topic. How did that go?
It went great. We had over 100 people that participated in the webinar. Stacy Gagnon and her husband Darren helped us. They're wonderful. They're both teachers, and actually Stacy is also a nurse now. But we also worked with Brian Post. I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Post, but he's actually an author. He was a foster child and later adopted in his life. But they gave some great tips and tools for teachers on what kids are experiencing now with COVID-19 and what it's going to look like when they return to the classroom.
And again, we were speaking with Executive Director of MATForce, Merilee Fowler. Their website is matforce.org, MATFORCE.org. The number 928-708-0100. It is up on your screen, or if you're listening on the radio, again, 928-708-0100. So the webinars, like I said, is a kind of a new thing with a lot of these organizations. Have you guys seen more engagement from the community through the webinars as opposed to the more in-person events?
Well, the thing that's been nice with the webinars, and we have a fairly extensive contact list of people who have asked to get the notices from MATForce. But with the webinars, we're having people from all over the state that are participating. So, we've actually had pretty good numbers. I mentioned over 100 people. With the majority of the things that we've offered, we've had, over 100 people that have signed up, and it's not just people from Yavapai County, but from other, communities in Arizona that can learn the information. Another thing that we're excited with the webinars is that we've gotten permission from the people presenting to put it on our website so that people that weren't able to maybe, be a part of the webinar at the time that it was scheduled, they can go later and listen to the information, and people are taking advantage of that opportunity also.
It's great to get that kind of community involvement. Like you mentioned, it's not just people from Yavapai County, but a lot of people outside of the county that are really interested in these webinars, and it makes a lot of sense. We are going to get to that point where teachers are going to have to sort of, and not even just teachers, everybody is going to have to sort of come up with some sort of form of normality with, some people have talked about a second wave, of course, but for now, at least just getting out of that weird stigma of the the post-COVID-19 sort of stigma. It's nice that you have these webinars that can sort of ease that transition just a little bit more.
It has worked well, and another thing that I'd like to mention is we've implemented some unique programming in Yavapai County, and one is the Yavapai Reentry Project, where we work with individuals that are being released from our county jail or from prison from the Department of Corrections, and we offer them a community coach. And we've done a couple webinars we call them participants, so the individual that was in prison who is matched with their community coach, talking about their relationship, and that's been fun too, to be able to share neat projects that are happening in Yavapai County, and for other people in other communities to consider replicating that. So I agree. The webinars are a great way to get the word out.
Kind of going back to that reentry project, what success stories have you guys heard of people going through that program?
Oh, it's just an amazing program. I mean, I've literally had people say that it has saved their lives. And again, I encourage people that if they want to hear about it firsthand to listen to one of the webinars, and you can hear the exact stories of the difference that it makes. But probably the statistic that really speaks to the value of the project is recidivism rates, because we track when people successfully participate and complete our project, we track whether they reoffend or commit a new offense. And normally when you look at statistics, people that are returning from the Department of Corrections, it's about a 36% that they reoffend and end up going back to prison. And with the reentry project, it's about 6 times less than that average. We have very good success with people getting on the right track and just achieving the goals that they have for themselves and being a good, productive citizen. So we're really proud of that.
Again, we're speaking with Merilee Fowler, Executive Director of MATForce. They've got a bunch of phenomenal programs that we will talk about more on the other side of this break. MATForce.org, 928-708-0100. Countywide will be right back right after this.
Do you need more closet space? Hi, I'm Tracy Shadley, owner of Organize A to Z. We provide professional custom design solutions to keep you and your space organized, which helps reduce your stress, increase your productivity, and allows you to take control of your belongings. We are proud to be locally owned and operated, specializing in custom closets, garages, offices, and pantries. Call me today for your free consultation. Organize your space, organize your life.
2 things we can count on every year:
a new set of tax rules and great weather here in northern Arizona.
Jackson Hewitt Tax Service, locally owned and operated by Lewis Rice since 1997, is here for you all year long.
Your neighborhood Jackson Hewitt Tax Office will help you in all of your taxing situations.
Electronic filing is always free with your tax preparation at Jackson Hewitt Tax Service.
Get more in return. Call 1-800-234-1040 for an office near you.
With too many senior homeowners falling short in their retirement dreams, there may be great news for you. A reverse mortgage may be the answer. The flexibility it provides may help you with your retirement dreams, peace of mind, and quality of life in your retirement. For your in-home, no-obligation consultation, contact me at 928-225-7418. That's 928-225-7418. Or you can find me at Facebook at Jim Hostler, Reverse Mortgage Specialist.
Hi, this is Lori
and Melissa
from Sedona Soul Spaces. We are the premier source for all your interior design, decorating, and staging needs.
Every day people ask, why didn't I call you sooner?
Let us use our passion, creativity, and experience to make your life easier.
Don't make costly mistakes. Call us and we will help save you time and money.
We offer full-service interior design, custom furnishings,
complete home staging, turnkey vacation home packages.
Sedona Soul Spaces, creating extraordinary spaces that delight your soul.
Want to welcome you back here to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. Over the phone today, we are speaking with Merilee Fowler, Executive Director of MATForce. Their number is 928-708-0100, and their website is matforce.org. We talked about the programs that MATForce has in the first segment, but now we're going to talk a little bit about the overdose statistics that were recently released for last year. Merilee, some very interesting statistics from the overdose statistics from 2019.
There were, and it was actually sad for us because one of the things that we like to look at is if we're going up or down. And when we look at the number of, and these are accidental drug overdose deaths in 2019, we had 68 individuals who died in our county, and that was compared with 47 in 2018. So it was really a significant increase of 45%. And so that was really alarming to us. We were really sad. And with the Overdose Fatality Review Board, we want to look at what is happening in these individual lives. We look at the police report, the medical examiner's report. We look at a person's past legal history when it's available, their medical history, their treatment history. And another component of the Overdose Fatality Review Board is that we do an interview with a family member and really try to learn about what was happening with that individual. But some concerns that we have with the data from 2019 is that, methamphetamine is really, really a problem with the overdose deaths. And that's something that we didn't see earlier, people dying from methamphetamine abuse. But looking at the numbers from 2019, there were actually 26 cases where the medical examiner listed methamphetamine in the cause of death. And again, comparing that to 2018, in 2018 it was 13 deaths, so that's 100% increase. We've investigated those deaths and are trying to understand what is making people actually die from the methamphetamine. We're finding cases where the quantities are very high and the manner that people are using meth has contributed to the death. So that's a concern of ours, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to make people aware of that risk. We also fentanyl. Everybody hears about fentanyl now. Such a deadly opioid drug that is, being manufactured. It's not the fentanyl that you get from a pharmacist, but this is fentanyl that's an illicit fentanyl that's being manufactured, a counterfeit fentanyl. And we had 10 cases in 2019 where fentanyl was listed in the cause of death. It's really sad. We've had young people in Yavapai County that have died from fentanyl, but it is all different age ranges. But another thing that we've identified is a lot of times it's polysubstance use, that people don't often use one drug in isolation, but it's mixing different types of drugs. And so there were a lot of things that we identified that are put out in this report. And we, more importantly, we can look at the problems and the concerns, but we want to recommend different solutions and things that we can do in Yavapai County to try to prevent these overdose deaths.
Merilee, why do you think those statistics are higher this year than they were last year?
I think it's the two things I mentioned. I think it's, fentanyl, number one. And I'll mention this, Philip. When we started, we've started to look at the deaths in 2020. And when I mentioned that in 2019, we had 10 deaths where fentanyl was listed in the cause, so far in 2020, we've already had 9 deaths, and that's in a lot shorter amount of time. So, we've identified cases where somebody that used cocaine didn't know that the fentanyl was in their cocaine. We've identified cases where somebody used meth and fentanyl was in the meth. It is such a dangerous drug, and again, just a very small amount can kill somebody. So, young people that are experimenting with prescription drugs, or they think is a legitimate prescription drug, and it's this counterfeit pill with fentanyl that has a deadly amount. And so that's definitely one of the reasons for the increase. But the other one is, as I mentioned, with methamphetamine. It's for some reason, people that are struggling with meth use disorder, they are more apt to actually pass away from an overdose now. And, that we didn't see that in the past. And so I think those are the two main reasons why we had that increase.
Now, what age range is this affecting? I know that I got a chance to look at the analysis that you guys released, and I saw, younger people are the high amount of deaths and overdose deaths in younger people. But also what really fascinated me was the elderly community, the sort of 60 to 70 plus age range. Why are we seeing overdose statistics in such an older group of people?
And that is such an important point because, again, if we look at the deaths in 2019, the age range was 17 to 77. So you're exactly right. This is not a problem that's just isolated to a certain age range. And, we do some analysis, too, with the different age ranges and try to look at where trends are going. And we were really disturbed that in the younger age range, in the 21 to 30-year-old age range, there were actually 19 deaths in 2019, and that was compared to 9 deaths in 2018. So that's a very significant increase, over 100% increase. Wow. And so we try to identify what are the drugs with the younger people. But as you said, the second highest age range was the 61 to 70-year-old age range. Right. There were 16 people that died in 2019 in that age category. And that, again, was a significant increase over 2018 from 8, so 100% increase. And it is really interesting, when we look at, and I'll bring this up with that older age range, that was primarily methamphetamine again. So I think a lot of times people think, well, it's prescription drugs, and elderly people that are, maybe misusing their prescription drugs, that does come into play. But again, methamphetamine, we're finding that we had an 18-year-old that died from a meth overdose and a 70-year-old that died from a meth overdose. So it goes through all ages.
And like you mentioned, when I see, overdose deaths in elderly people, I assume that it's probably opioid related or some sort of pain medication. I never thought that meth would make its way, and it just maybe speaks more to just the addictive properties of the drug itself, but to the elderly community of the elderly residents. I keep fumbling all over my words, but it's fascinating to me that meth somehow sticks that long and has such a large age gap and covers really everybody.
Right. It is very, very interesting. And I think that, again, that's a trend that has changed from, 2005 when MATForce first started was because of the methamphetamine problem in our county. And that problem had reduced significantly, and we saw some great inroads. It never went away, but there was a lot less meth and meth use in our community, and it's just rising its ugly head again. And you're right. It's all ages. And when you really review, these people they're wonderful people that end up with a use disorder and, very sadly end up passing away from that with a drug overdose. And with some of the older people that we've looked at, they've struggled with meth for many years. And it's so hard on the body. I mean, the things that it does to the heart and, there's so many physical risks with using meth. So, yeah, it's a fascinating problem and something that we really need to look at as a community and do everything that we can to, number one, it decreased the supply, and that's why, we have wonderful officers in our Partners Against Narcotic Trafficking team that are trying to, from the law enforcement perspective, reduce the supply. We have wonderful treatment providers that try to help people that are struggling with use disorders. And as a community, the focus of MATForce is prevention, and we need to, number one, teach people the risks and harms of these drugs and encourage people to never start using them.
I've got one more question before we head back to break. You guys launched, I believe, in March, the Drugs Are Not a Victimless Crime campaign. Can we talk about that?
I would love to. And that actually came out of the Overdose Fatality Review Board and looking at these deaths. And I think it was actually a parent that talked about that they were a victim of this overdose. So they had lost their son and they were a victim. And legally, it's considered a victimless crime. And so somebody said, we should implement a campaign that's drugs not a victimless crime. And so the images are of a mother standing by a coffin or a child who has been abused because of somebody struggling with use disorder or the driver that's on the road that gets hit by somebody that's impaired. There's so many ways that drug abuse and use affects individuals that are not the users. And that's what we're trying to get across by that campaign, that it's not just the individual who is struggling with the use of the drug, but it's all of their family members. It's people that are just out on the roads, children that are being affected, and that's what we're trying to get across with that campaign.
Again, this is Merilee Fowler, Executive Director of MATForce. The website is matforce.org. You can see it on your screen, but if you're listening over the radio wave, 928-708-0100. Like we mentioned, a lot of great programs for MATForce. We still got a few more things to talk about with Merilee before we send her on her way. Countywide will be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Solid Rock Fitness is a one-on-one fitness studio specializing in fitness over 50. I train older adults of all fitness levels, from athletes and avid sports participants to folks with chronic pain to those recovering from surgeries. You and I will focus on strength training to improve overall muscle tone, core conditioning, balance, agility, flexibility, and nutrition. Mastery of these components of fitness will help you live your life to the fullest with confidence and competence.
Paul Stanley here with Stanley Steel Structures. We offer shade structures that provide style, value, and performance. Our Equinox louvered roof opens and closes to give you the ultimate patio experience. We also offer Alumawood shade covers that looks like wood but lasts like steel and never needs painting or maintenance. Visit us at StanleySteelStructures.com. Contact us today and be covered tomorrow. Stanley Steel Structures. Let us add some space to your place.
The EPA says C&B Construction ranks in the top 1% nationally. C&B Construction invites you to see what energy efficiency and indoor air quality can be. We have won another Department of Energy Innovation Award, and C&B Construction is the only contractor in the country to win 6 consecutive EPA Indoor Air Plus awards. Experience our zero-energy, move-in ready homes at Crossroads at Mingus.
C&B Construction, locally respected, nationally recognized. Find out more at C&B Homes.com.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley and Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
Want to welcome you back here to Countywide. My guest over the phone today is Merilee Fowler, Executive Director of MATForce. I am Philip Catalfamo. The website is matforce.org, 928-708-0100. We mentioned that there were a few people who were struggling during this COVID-19 outbreak. We want you to let you know that the suicide hotline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you are experiencing any issues with being at home, being away from family, we know that this is a very stressful time for everybody. 1-800-273-8255. Please feel free to contact them and get the help that you need. MATForce offers a lot of great programs. We talked about that in the first segment. We talked about the unfortunate overdose statistics in the second segment. Merilee, we are still going through this pandemic for the time being. What resources are available to residents right now through MATForce?
Well, on our website, which again is matforce.org, there is more information on where to get help. I mean, we want to make sure that people know that there are great treatment resources, so that's something that we offer. We also offer, again, parenting classes for people that need a little bit help with their parenting skills. And again, even though they're not right now in person, we're doing some things through webinars, and we offer a lot of different trainings. So I just encourage anybody that might be interested in being connected to the things that MATForce does offer to go to our website and sign up to be on our mailing list, and we send out notices as things come up. We also have a lot of different resources that we're happy to share. We have resources for parents on how to talk to their kids about drugs and alcohol. That's such an important thing that parents do have those conversations with their kids early on. And we have, that type of resources or resources on particular drugs. We have RAC cards on marijuana, what are the true harms, alcohol. Like we mentioned fentanyl, methamphetamine. We just are a really good resource for having the true scientific facts on these different drugs and how they affect our lives. It's really important for us that people, understand and have a perception of risk, the risks and harms of these different substances. And so we just want to be a resource for parents in our community in any way that we can to help reduce substance abuse issues in our county.
You mentioned the parenting education classes. Can we talk about those a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So we do a few different curriculums. We have a wonderful facilitator that teaches a class called Becoming a Love and Logic Parent. And I think the favorite thing about that class is it gives parents actual concrete steps and tools for them to help manage their children's behavior. We also have a triple P parenting, which we have facilitators trained in that, and that's a more in-depth parenting class for families that maybe are struggling with more complicated issues. And we also do a lot of workshops. MATForce again is we have staff, but we also have volunteers that have expertise, and they're willing to do workshops on different things for parents. And so, again, I just encourage people that there's so many different things that we do if they're interested in getting the notices to sign up and be on our email list.
Again, MATForce.org is the website, 928-708-0100. Merilee, we just got a couple minutes here. Can we talk about the Inmate to Citizen event?
I would love to do that. So we offer classes about twice a year, and it's called From Inmate to Citizen, and it's kind of a component of the Reentry Project. But what we do during that class, it's actually for family members or friends of individuals that are going to be returning home from prison, and it just provides kind of the roadmap of what it's going to be like for the person that's coming home. Things that we don't think about, how cell phones have changed and computers, and just the anxiety that they feel from going from an environment of being told when they eat, what they're supposed to be doing at all times, back to society, and how they can support those individuals. So I know we have a class coming up on From Inmate to Citizen, and if we offer that on both sides of the mountain on a regular basis.
A lot of wonderful programs that are offered from MATForce. Once again, MATForce.org is the website. 928-708-0100 is the phone number. Again, if you are experiencing any sort of suicidal thoughts during this COVID-19 outbreak, we know that it is very, very tough right now. 1-800-273-8255 is the National Suicide Hotline. Please contact them if you are experiencing any sort of issues regarding suicidal thoughts. Merilee, I think we've covered everything. You guys offer a lot of wonderful, wonderful programs. I'm really glad that you guys are still staying strong through all this COVID-19 pandemic, through the restrictions, and I especially want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me about this wonderful organization.
Thank you so much, Philip.
That's going to do it for this episode of Countywide. I'd like to thank you very much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you again next time.